Wow, that was an awesome applause. I feel like I would speak in front of 1,000 people. Thank you so much. My name is Sandra Ahlgrimm. Well pronounced. I'm a senior cloud developer advocate. I work for Microsoft in the Java and AI team. And I'm here to present on MCP and Java. Also, in my hometown, I'm from Berlin, so I might have a German accent. I'm the organizer of the Berlin JAG, so if you happen to be there and want to speak or host, reach out to me. So what we are going to do today, first I want to give an introduction to MCP, like what it is and how you use it. Who has used MCP already? Guess most of you, even though if you don't know. Who has built already some MCP clients? Okay, also some people, great to know. Then we want to do a little bit of an in-depth overview of MCP features, as well as building some MCP servers in Java with the power of Copilot, because I might be a bit lazy. All the things are online as well. I will share the URL later also as a QR code, so you can find it on GitHub. So we've seen a massive shift in the AI assistant coding over the past few months or years even. Previously, we could interact with clients like GCP, GitHub Copilot by asking them questions, having them help us with code completion, or even using them to help edit a file, generate tests, or even write documentation. So like for me, I always try to use it for the things I don't like too much, like front end. But it's pretty cool. But that is very powerful, but we're missing a critical piece. Like how can we make it, for instance, aware of outside data, such as databases, external ones, or even internal files on my computer? I mean, there was rec, but due to the context size, it might be very limited. So how can we connect it with tools and resources that are not part of our IDE, but still necessary to our products? So a lot of new features appeared, such as, so they provide you REST API. So like, it is kind of a need of MCP that arose in the past. So you did have your tools to interact with agents. Then you had a ton of them. Each of them might have had their own definition, their own REST API services, or even other ones. And they might have even interacted with each other differently. So we clearly needed somewhat of standard protocol. And as a Java developer, I'm a huge fan of specifications. Even though I might argue if MCP is a specification, at least it's somewhat standardization that now goes for instance, or you would say like an USB-C for AI. So you have like one way how to connect them. So it's like a protocol to connect LLMs with data, tools, or resources. The Model Context Protocol was created by Anthropic. So I'm also very happy that it was from an outsider, so to say, because if it would have come from us, from Microsoft, the competition couldn't have used it. Likewise, the other way around. So super happy that someone like Anthropic came out with this. So it was quickly adapted by the whole AI community, and now we are all evolving together. For the parts of MCP, you can think about it with like three things. First, you have the hosts, such as your IDEs or even your Windows machine or others. And then you have the clients, such as the Copilot MCP you can use, that most of you potentially are already using. And then you also have the servers, such as the GitHub MCP server, or now we also have the Azure MCP server, or even the Playwright, which is one of my most used probably MCP servers, because it helps me to, it will basically create the website for you, so the front end, and even you can connect with it, and then you can, for instance, check if it's secure enough. So you will tell it, I'm a security architect, please check if it's secure, and then it will basically perform the 101 hacking on your web page, and then tell you how to make your site more secure. So very good. And yeah, so this is a short recap. What's also interesting is like how they actually connect with each other. So there are the tools that you might want to use, such as so somebody Some people call it tools, others will call it functions. So this is when I need actual data, such as what's actually in the newest version of Spring Boot. When I try to update, usually the LLM will just give you what was the last trained data on it. But when I want to perform like the real search for it, what's like today's newest version, or if I need like what are the items I still have in stock, I might also want to use a tool here or function. Then another reason, or another thing I could use is the resources. There could also be a database to get what's in stock. And then we can also use some predefined prompts here. That might be also very powerful. So again, tools, as I mentioned, were what we saw the core of MCP servers today. They allow you to get like data, update data, or even perform actions on them. So here you can see how you can use a tool in Java, where you have the name, the description, and then it gives you the output. It's like pretty cool. And you have a lot of control over the tools available. For instance, if I'm using Copilot here, I can use them via the chat or also with the prompts. And also I can select like what tools I want to use here in the research, for instance. So the Model Context Protocol provides a standard ways for servers to expose resources to clients. So resources allow servers to share data that provides context to language models, such as files, database schemas, or application-specific information. Each resource is uniquely identified as a URI. And they are designed to be application-driven, with host application determining how to incorporate context space with their needs. So like, for instance, you do have the GitHub MCP server that will expose a repository content directly through a URL that you can fill in and then attach as a context to your request. So when I program something, I studied like media and computer science, and it's like two different worlds, because for designers, there's always like, that's my intellectual property, you're not supposed to steal it. Whereas in the programmer's world, when I program something, I'm going to steal a lot of code, right? So I'm going to have a sample demo, and then I put it side by side, and then I might copy some pieces over, and it's like totally fine for us, right? Who's doing the same? And not me alone. Yeah, thank you very much. So, and with the MCP resources, I can do the same, but have the AI agent do the same for me, basically here. So that was one of the use cases. You can find out even more. So like, try to reduce the response tokens by giving it the right context on the spot. So it's pretty easy that you can directly attach it. Okay. Yeah, so here's how you can use it. For instance, for readability, so here we have some predefined prompts that, if you're like tired and typing every time the same, you can use the prompts, predefine them, and then just use them with the static presets. They might even be dynamically generated for you, depends how you use them. So here are some use cases, for instance. So when I do /welcome, I might get always my welcome page. I could do a /hello world for all the hello world demos that I did in the past. I could also use, for instance, migrate_db, or also here a root cause wizard, and various others. So you can dynamically pull in real-time data, such as a real-time GitHub pull request comments, and it's by far more powerful than static templates here. So how do MCP servers run? So we do have them in the host, where we do have basically the clients, such as GitHub Copilot. And then we can call, via the MCP protocol, the MCP server. And that can use a resource, such as on my local computer, or it can go with tools and then call via web API in the internet something else, like here the data source B, as shown in the graphic. Or I can also use SSE and then connect with the remote server, where it also might go via another web API to another computers. So you can go remotely over server-side events, or SSE, as you might hear it called. So those remote servers can run in Azure Functions, Container Apps, App Service, wherever. They can be managed by API management and API Center, which is optimized for you remote MCP servers. So we also announced the Azure MCP server, so that's one of my only slides with advertisement here, where we want to bring the Azure resource context to your code, where you can build smarter AI apps and follow best practices, and so you can manage and troubleshoot with confidence. And we also have this available not just for VS Code, but also for JetBrains, IntelliJ, as well as Eclipse. So here's something on Eclipse. So here, you need to add it to the marketplace first, the tool. I hope the quality is good enough. So I have it here, the Eclipse Copilot plugin, as well as the Azure Toolkit. Yep. And it's basically the same, right? So in VS Code, I would also need a Copilot as well as the Azure Toolkit. Same applies for JetBrains. Well, in JetBrains, you can also use their AI assistant with Azure Toolkit to have the Azure MCP server. And then you can just call it here within the Copilot and make, for instance, a sample request. Oh yeah, here you can also select what MCP tools you want to use. So always make sure to be context aware, right? Tokens are expensive, so whenever you use an MCP server, it's good practice to check what you need and only select those needed ones, as you can see here. Then let's move on. Yeah, and then you can ask it, for instance, like, what are my Azure subscriptions? And then it is context aware of my Azure resources, and then it knows and can help me with that. Okay. So now I'll get into the interesting part of building MCP servers and clients in Java. So we do have official SDKs for all the programming languages that can help us. For instance, Microsoft is doing the one for C#. We do have the one for Java, which was created by the Spring team. Thanks again for that. But there are also various others, such as the one for Kotlin or TypeScript. The Java SDK for MCP, as said, is like as the others, I guess. So you do have the clients and the servers, and they use synchronous and asynchronous operations for the MCP client handling, so the client-side protocol operations. And then you also have the MCP server who manages the server-side protocol operations. And then you do have the session layer, which is managing the communication patterns and state using default MCP session implementation. For the transport layer, you do have, as you can see here, the STDO transport, so like STD in and STD out for the core modules. You can also use HTTP SSE transports, like Java HTTP client or Spring Webflux or Spring Web MVC. And then also, that's what you basically have. And that's the Java SDK for MCP that was created by the Spring team. And one might mention that it depends on Project Reactor. So if your framework doesn't work well with it, just keep in mind that it uses this one. So there are also other frameworks with MCP support. So for the clients, you also have LangChain4j, what I'm very happy to say that I'm one of the contributors, not core, but I did contribute the audio models. Then we also do have the Quarkus implementation. Since the official MCP one depends on Reactor, it wasn't a use case for Quarkus, so they defined their own MCP server. And then you also have Spring AI, which obviously uses the official MCP SDK, where you have Quarkus, which uses LangChain4j for the clients, as well as their integration for the servers. So, and LangChain4j does work with Spring as well as Quarkus, as well as, it's basically framework agnostic since it's written in vanilla Java. But yeah, as I said, complicated to go with Quarkus on Langchain4j with the official MCP server implementation from the Spring team. Okay. So let's pray to demigods now. That already worked. Cool. So here's a project where I have everything already kind of set up. It's all stolen from a GitHub repository. This one here. So let's learn Java MCP. And here we do have the MCP server. One with a tutorial that is that easy that I dare to do it live again with you here. So we will create a new app. So we go from 0 to hero here, and then check if we can actually create this one. So let's spin up a new terminal. Everything different now. Okay, fine. I will just use this one here. Let's get out of this, and then I will create the new repository here. Okay, I should have tested this more. Okay, so then I don't have Quarkus installed, so I would need to install Quarkus now. Fine, I already have the Quarkus app, so that's okay. We can open this one here in Visual Studio Code, so I might just add a new folder. So this one works with the Quarkus MCP server instructions. It would work the same if I would put this in the agents MD file. So the instructions are basically like my guardrails, how my agents should work. It's a very good practice whenever you use agents. Like for instance, as developers, when I started, we spent like hours in rooms where we would define how we create content or how we create and write apps basically. So like my most famous memory is when we really fought hard for like almost 2 hours. It's going to be tabs versus spaces, and if it's spaces, it's 2 or 4. I mean, I don't know if you can relate, but that's something you might to add into your instructions. Also, you might want to use it for more important things like security and others. Yeah, so you can copy-paste this one, then add it under the GitHub folder structure there, or you put it on the root level in an agents.md file. So that's what I'm going to do now. Agents.md. Okay, put all of that. So now it should take this into account whenever I run something in my Copilot. And there is no other need, so I don't need to restart or any other things that you might have to do with Windows. Obviously, it also runs on the spot on a Windows machine. So, and then now I want to ask Copilot with a new prompt. So here, I will just create a new folder and hope that it works. Monkey server boxed. Okay, and then add this prompt. I already copied it, but just to be safe. And let's also see if here is the folder specified. Okay. And this, I will go here and tell it. So I'm here in the GitHub Copilot. I have the agent running. I'm using Claude Haiku 4.5. I haven't tried it with that model, but why not? And here you can also see that it automatically found the agent's MD file, so we will use those as my instructions. So I will go like in the monkey server boxed folder, please. And if I'm not brave, I could switch this to plan mode first, let it do the plan, adjust, and then do the agent stuff. But YOLO. So let's put it right away here and see what it does. So it says, I create an MCP server with Quarkus in the monkey server boxed folder. Let me start by checking the current state and then building the project. Okay, fine. You remember when I was starting coding, we had time in the middle, right? So we would run all the tests. It would take like 10 to 30 minutes. We would do a release. It would run all the tests like 3 times because of the 3 platforms where we would go to, like developers, quality, and production. So we had time in the middle where we could play table soccer. So I went very well in table soccer. Then we had DevOps and everything speed up so much. So no time for that. But now with AI, we might get that time back. So I was somewhat happy about that. So it's doing why it's so fast and I don't have to approve all steps is because I did the auto approve. You can set this for each step that you will trust it or not. I believe since I'm running Git and I also don't do auto approve on, remove all my files, I'm like kind of fine here. So for instance here, it also asked me if it can run the CSH command. So this one obviously I haven't allowed yet. Okay, so now it's not working. But let's Copilot figure it out if it can solve the issue. So it already did create everything. I see there's some errors. Let's see if it can fix this. Still have 19 minutes left. Do the clean package. And as a real developer, we're skipping the tests. So build succeeded, cool. The build was successfully. Let me verify the jar was created and create a git ignore file. Oh, that's also important. Cool. Cool, so now we did create everything. Nice. Tech stack, Java 21, LTS, yeah, at least. Quarkus, somewhat new. Okay, cool. And now we can run this. And then we would just run it as a normal Quarkus application. So we need to then check how to use it as the MCP server, right? Okay. Can get back to our. Okay, so here when we run it, we should see it then. And then if we have npx installed, we can check that it's working out of the box. Cool. Terminal is awaiting input. Okay. Right, why not? If you don't see what it's doing, yeah, you can also see here the updating things that are here. Oh, so it was already running it. Cool. So I have this one here. So, okay, so now I want to do that one. They're running the MCP inspector. It should also show me how it's doing. Okay, let's install it on the fly. And by the way, MCP server with LangChain for J and Quarkus. Let's have a look at the code. So here's my MCP server. Whoops. Okay, so here's also the MCP NPX thing. Connection error, check your MCP server is running and the proxy token is connected properly. Okay, let's do that in a bit, since I wanted to also talk over how it's actually done. So here you can see that we set the tool as described earlier, where we put the description and we connect here the list here with the list all species to the service. So it's pretty easy with based on annotations. We also get the monkey details here. Cool. And here we set specific things like the names, longitude, latitude, axis count. Pretty cool. And we also get a random monkey, just in case that's needed. Get monkey statistics. Cool. I'm a huge fan of statistics. So pretty simple. Here's the model. So just what is a monkey species? And repository set as well. That's just dummy code basically. So we do have some species already defined, and then with AI we can generate even more on the fly if needed. So and here's the service ingestion as well, where I do have the get a random monkey, everything specified, so I can actually call it. So pretty cool. So here's my error and the STTP. Okay, so that's why we couldn't see it. So that's good to know. Cool. Maybe I started it too often. So here's that one is done, that was done. I also have like mixed feeling with them hiding stuff that is happening behind the scenes, because sometimes then you start things twice and then something might not work. So let's see this. Anyhow, so it did create the MCP server for us. When you're on VS Code, you can see your MCP servers also here in the extensions. So now you have the extensions in the extensions as before. You see the recommended ones, and also here your MCP servers as well as the installed ones. And as you can see, our MCP server is missing that we just created. So let's go back to the documentation and see if we did a good job documenting how to add it. Otherwise, we'll find that out. So this one. So here, configure the MCP server in your Visual Studio Code environment by creating a .vs Code MCP JSON. So this one, the MCP JSON file, you might already have one in your home directory. This would be the MCP configuration for your overall computer. I like to have it per repository, right? So I don't have like a massive amount of MCP servers for everything. I only have like what I need everywhere in my home directory, and everything else goes with my application. Okay, so here, let's check. Seems like I have no .vs Code. Okay, so let's add that one on the root level, obviously. Nope. VS Code, MCP JSON. Here's another trick that I always use. So when you do +file and you want it in a folder in a file, you can just do folder name / and then the file name. That works. I think it works even everywhere, but also here. And now I can add here my localhost SSE thing to enable that one. And if it's working, I should be able to start the MCP server. Okay, cool. So now it should be working. I can restart, I can use it. And let's check. Now it's also here. Here's my monkey MCP server. And now you can also start it from here. Yep. So it's running locally now on my machine. So now I should be able, in calling it from another client. By the way, you should only create MCP servers if you actually use it from multiple data points, right? If you want to address it with Copilot as well as other MCP clients, that might make sense. Otherwise, well, why would you separate it? But yeah, that's just my take on this. So let's see. I need to be in agent mode to call my MCP servers. Here I can make sure that I have the MCP monkey one there. I might also remove the built-in ones. So now I'm only using the monkey MCP, and let's ask it like, what are the monkeys available? For instance, let's see if that works. Oh, we're still in the other one. Okay, so let's see if it does use the MCP server. Okay, so based on the implementation you just created. Okay, so now I can do, shouldn't I be able to do like, so if I forget the commands, I would just try to force it to use it with natural language, since it's natural language models, right? Use the monkey MCP server and give me the best monkey. Okay, let's see if it's now using the one. Okay, so now I'd use the, cool, and now you can even get more details. So that's how you can easily create an MCP server with GitHub Copilot and Java and LangChain4j and on Quarkus. You could have done the same with Spring AI and the official MCP protocol. Please let me know how it goes, because for me, I wasn't able to make it run because potentially there are just too many Spring versions, or I don't know. But just for me personally, AI was more able to generate Quarkus code than Spring. Okay, and to use the MCP application, I did basically the same thing. So if you want to do it, it's all available online. And here is the client, where we can go through the code. Where you do have, for instance, the chat service. Where you do have here the system message. You are a helpful AI assistant with access to various information tools, and here you can answer the questions. Like here, for instance. Oh yeah, then you can use different models such as OpenAI or Llama or the default one, and then you can build an AI service where you add the tools providers and build it, and then just a simple health check here available. So this one is just a very simple Java MCP chat client. Let's check. So Llama isn't running, so let's see. Just run it like that. Okay, so now I have that running. And since I'm lazy and it's live demo, let's create a new Copilot window. Do you want to create a yes? Keep and continue. Okay. Please run the MCP client in Monkey client. And let's see if they have everything needed or if I need to specify some more variables. Okay. Okay. So now it's saying that this one is not running, so I'm also not sure if it tries to run my MCP client. Okay. So it seems to be, did I stop it potentially? Oh yeah, I would just tell it to do it. Please do so. Why is it saying it doesn't have access? I mean, it's in agent mode, or something's off here. Oh yeah, because I forgot, I told it not to. So let's enable again. Great. And also here, by the way, one of my most favorite GitHub MCP services is also context 7 to determine what is the latest version of Spring Boot, for instance. So that's pretty good for that. Okay. Do again. So yeah, if you're using Copilot, as you can see, you're always using the built-in MCP server tools already. Do I want to track data? Oh, okay, fine. So now the Quarkus people are knowing that I'm using theirs. Fine. Allow. Okay. Let's see what's hidden. Oh yeah, I should click focus terminal, then I can also see what's done, what's doing. Server starting, now let me start the client. Okay, cool. Something is off. Let's see what's off. Build failed. Okay. So I run it again. Cool. So let's check again. We should still see here the Monkey MCP server. And it is running. So now we should be able to start it. Okay. So I want to see the terminal now, because otherwise it doesn't make too much sense. So here's that one, and here's the server. So that's one. It's running fine. And here's the client and server setup. Because usually what I'm searching for now is like the terminal window, which tells me like what we have seen in the code before. Hey, now is the chat window to operate with the monkeys as we just did. Otherwise, I will stop it here and hit the same and show me the terminal, maybe. Okay. Oh yeah. Why is that one not running? Start. Great. Failed to set MCP server log level. Cool. Somebody did not pray to the demigods well enough. So that's okay. Why is it running interactively but not showing me? So let's go to output the terminal and then let's find them here. Great. Try asking. Yes, finally. So, okay, so here was, I was just not looking at the right moment. So here was, it registered the MCP server, and now I can use the Java MCP client. For instance, try asking, what monkey spaces do you know? And you can try exit and the other ones. Cool. So I might have accidentally just closed that one. Let's see, I'm close. Still have 3 minutes. Yeah, but it was there. I just stopped it here. Okay, let's see. It's still working. So what monkey species do you know? And then now I need to wait. Okay, for the LLM to come back. Fine. But in the order of time, we're gonna finish the presentation. Cool. So here we go. Sorry for that. And go back. Yes. Great. So for Model Context Protocol at Microsoft, we do have like various ones. So for instance, we do have the Copilot Studio in VS Code, as we have seen. Also, we do have the Foundry Agent or various others. You do have like so many tools, like the Azure ones or the GitHub ones, or one of my favorites, the Playwright ones, as well as Neo4j. You can use other parties as well and partners. There's also the GitHub MCP server registry. So if you have one that might be interesting to others, check out to add them to the GitHub registry. And then as we've seen, there are various local builds and remote MCP SDKs, such as for the Java one from the Spring team or the one in Quarkus. We also have one from Azure Functions, for instance. And then you have the seamless integration between apps and external data sources. You can do them all in a secure way. For instance, if I would need an access token, I can provide it there and make sure that like licenses are set and that also we can secure our connection. If you want to learn more, we do have the tutorial. Everything is online. If you want to scan the QR code, you can also find me on LinkedIn for more jokes. We can connect there. We also have a YouTube channel, so if you can get not enough of me, you can also subscribe to our Java at Microsoft YouTube channel for various content. And if you'd like to see more there, you can also use the comments. And with that, thank you so much for being with me here.
Thank you, Sandra. You have some time for questions if you want to.
Yes.
Please
do so, because I had really good greased food.
Yep.
And there might have been onions, so
yep.
Maybe the space is helpful for you now.
Yeah, actually, I have a more generic question about the MCP servers. Okay, let's say that you want to use AI for software engineering, software development, you have a huge project. Would it make sense to build your own MCP server tailored for that project? Or let's say reuse some big existing MCP server that provides integration with various tools? So the question is when you need to build your own MCP server in this context.
I would say you need to build your own MCP server. like for anything else, right? So if we did libraries before, and if there was already something that does the job perfectly well and it's open source, you might just want to contribute. If yours would be so different, or you need like full control, you would do the same for you. And yeah, an MCP server only makes sense if you have like multiple clients who wants to use it, right?
Multiple clients, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise,
You can
I mean, obviously, you can do it as a tutorial to put it on your LinkedIn, but for like real-world scenarios, it will add complexity that you will have to maintain. So I would make sure that it is useful for your needs.
But for example, it will not help, for example, the LLM to produce better results because it will have more structured. It will do more structured operations. It will use the tools more efficiently via the MCP, or it doesn't help in that.
Okay, so the question is if formatting it to the MCP server, if it does help the LLM or not?
Yeah. To produce better results rather than, let's say, living in on its own.
Well, that's a good one. So, I think if you use the same model, it shouldn't differ. Because, MCP server is just how you specify how they interact with each other. So it should be different from the AI model. But if somebody is more aware of that, I would be happy to hear.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So again, thanks, Sandra, for your presentation.
Thank you so much. I will be here at the party as well, so you can find me there as well and ask more questions. For the good feedback, please use the app. So for the 5 stars voting, if you have anything to complain, find me. I'm here to help.
Okay.
Thank you.